Alrighty then. So hello everyone from my behalf once again. So today's topic is, as the title says, establishing target audience, and how can you use that as a tool on figuring out what type of game you're making, and so that the overall vision of the game is shared by the entire team. So today we will also be looking at some spreadsheets. So I will be jumping between PowerPoint and basically the spreadsheets. So hopefully that transition will go smoothly. Since these are recorded, I thought I will keep the introduction slide, but don't worry, as I did this last time, I will just quickly show it that this is indeed the 20th year for me to earn my salaries in game industry, mostly in game designer and business developer roles. And that has made me a very business-oriented game designer as well. So hence giving you tools also how to, as I said it last time, select your difficulty level for your game designs as well via some market analysis. Currently working in Silver Legend as my day job and secondary to you. And also there is the Autio University game design course that is running at the moment, which I probably will share stream links also to here to GameCity Kajaani. That's it. I always want to start, or most of the times, I want to start with my favorite superhero, which we're slowly getting into. So the Captain Obvious once again strikes the number one thing to do at the very beginning of a game project is to design the game. It should not have any major holes how the game works before you jump into developing it. I'm not one of those who believe that prototyping will solve design issues. Prototypes might solve if it's very physics-driven game or like a timing-related games. Time pressure, is it good to fix something? But the more mechanics-heavy or narrative-heavy games, you should see the pitfalls before jumping into making the game itself. So game design's role is to minimize the iteration need. Basically, iteration always means that we're throwing work out of the window that we did, and it should be treated as a bad design. Sure, it always happens. Even the best designers can't see everything into the future, but good design minimizes that need. Second, indeed, is knowing your game. So knowing what makes it stand out. That will be particularly strongly the next session's topic. So in a week from now, I will give you good tools how you can establish unique selling points, how hopefully you will stay in somewhat familiar so that you don't overload the cognitive capabilities of your player with totally far out there games, which has a target audience, but it's a smaller target audience. But still, you should have some sort of unique selling points that transforms that experience that you're about to make into something so exciting that people are willing to try your game. They're willing to, instead of trying some well-established games that they haven't yet bought, they want to jump into trying yours. We will also be then discussing design pillars, which is another tool how to make sure that your team shares the vision, that not everyone is not pulling the game to different direction, but you're all blowing to the same fire, so to speak. And last but not least is it's important to know your competition. That will be part of next session as well. So we will be doing also comparative analysis to really nail down the unique selling points, that why would someone buy your game instead of that well-established a game that they haven't tried yet. But to get to all this, the main question, or one of the main questions, should be that who is going to play your games? Now, to start answering this, let's jump into a bit of psychology. So, who we are, basically. Psychology itself, as a science, is relatively young field, but I'm sure that you all have seen how it's increasingly influential. One of the first fields to adapt it has been to business development. So you might have heard of innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. And this is quite common, commonly used 5 stages of how we are. And that base is in psychology. Now, we are going to go a lot deeper on that. This approach on innovators, early adopters, and so forth can help your game design if you're bold enough to try something new. Then you will understand that all of us players are pretty roughly divided by the normal division, normaalijakauma. I hope I know the English terms right. So the innovators will try something totally far out there. They don't mind if they have to learn. And early adopters are also okay feeling uncomfortable, not knowing how the game works. But early majority and late majority, they basically don't like feeling that I don't really know how to play this game, and they will play as long as the innovators and early adopters are promoting your game. These are really interesting topics. If I was doing business lecture for you, I would probably go a lot deeper, but I give you a tip. Google more, and particularly watch Simon Sinek's How Great Leaders Inspire Action. That will be one of the best TED Talks that you will see. It's only, like TED Talks are, 18 minutes. That will help you out as well. Now, moving more to the actual psychology of who we are as people, and many of you have probably heard Myers-Briggs type indicator, which was considered science last time, something 40, 50 years ago, and nowadays people or science field recognizes that it's a bit problematic. And why it's problematic, it's basically because who we are, it makes the division in the middle. Once again, as we all are divided into a normal distribution, the middle is where most of us are. So if you're changing the archetype based on how middle you are, then basically your mood in the morning will dictate your personality archetype. And that's, of course, not very solid basis, because if your mood can change the outcome dramatically, then it's not really good. Now, what we are going to talk about is Big Five, or Ocean model, which is a lot better personality test, which is still very up-to-date model. So what this basically does is, by giving percentages and not making the division at the center. So out of those lines, as we most are located in most things quite in the center, Big Five recognizes that these two are pretty similar, and in everyday life we might not be able to dictate that Pekka and Maija, how are they different on some specific topic. But if Pekka is there, then yeah, everyone, even on everyday life, we can tell that Pekka is very different. And this Big Five, what is it that they measure is on the Ocean model. So basically, openness to experience is the first one that they measure via a series of questions. Basically, is your nature more curious, or are you more cautious? Then the difficult to pronounce, and no one has ever said, am I pronouncing it right? So conscientiousness basically measures, are you more organized, or are you more careless? Then it's extroversion. So are you more energetic or reserved, or basically introvert or extrovert? So which way is your energy levels directed, outside of you or inside of you? The A is agreeableness. So are you more of a compassionate person or more rational person? Now, once again, most of us with all of these are relatively in the center, but then some might be very far out there. And last but not least is neuroticism, which in the personality test is that are you more nervous or are you more confident? However, I have to say that for the model that we're going to use, there was no correlation for the neuroticism. So that's not in any of the, that data from that is not part of what we're going to talk. So basically it's based on big four, if you can say so. So what we're going to talk today is Quantic Foundry's model, how they took different domains of play and then adapted that to the Big Five personality test. And they have analyzed over 1.5 million players. And early on, they found out that there are 12 principal player motivation that resonate with 4 of those things that Big Five personality test measures. And then those 12 principal player motivations also form clusters of 2, meaning that in most cases, if you like one, then you're quite likely to like the other element as well. Don't worry, I'll show you more in just a second. Now, if any of you have been making mobile games, as far as I've understood, Game Refinery service also relies on modified player motivation model. Sure, they do like a more feature-based analysis that, hey, what kind of features will relate to players more, and it's a bit of a different system, so not as free model as Quantic Foundry's model that we're going to discuss. Before going deeper into the Quantic Foundry model, I want to emphasize one another thing though, which is Ubisoft's taste maps, which Ubisoft has also tried to reflect back to Big Five, as I've understood. I'm not entirely sure are they still using the taste map, but the crucial thing what Ubisoft has found out is that the distribution of population and care are inversely aligned. Basically meaning that majority of players want something similar. So majority, once again, most of us are in most topics somewhere in the middle. But when a game offers something in the middle, we don't really feel passionate about it. So we are like, okay, I could play it as long as someone recommends. So in most cases, most of us are those either early adopters or late adopters, and we need a lot of encouragement. However, care goes exactly the opposite. Care is what gets us excited, and that is the novelty bit. So the far edges. So how Ubisoft has developed the taste map is basically that most of the features you should be serving a big chunk of the player base so that you basically can make a profit, but you should have some elements that go nerd out, far out there, so that someone gets excited about your game, that someone would care. So if your game only is a clone game that there is 13 in a dozen, for example, in terms of realism and fantasy, you go somewhere in the middle. Then for most, it's nah. Yeah, if someone forces me, or if the game becomes a big hit, I can give it a go. But if the game would be somewhere far out there, very realistic or very far out fantasy, then the care improves. So going there is some care, and then at the far edge there people care a lot. Those are the ones that will be the very vocal about that game or about specific feature because they feel that serves exactly me. Now, today's session isn't about taste maps, but just to give you a glimpse of that, I could hold a session on those as well. The next two slides are stolen from Ubisoft's GDC Vault or GDC Talk, which is readily available, so credit to where credit is due. So they use this type of taste map, or at least used to years ago, and as an example, Minecraft taste map would look like this. That, for example, it fits really well on skilled gameplay as well as not skilled gameplay. It is easy to work really hard to grind stuff, and it's easy to play without grinding. And then different elements and so forth and so forth. It doesn't mean that all games would need to be very far out there, but Minecraft, they themselves use an example that goes quite far in many different ways. Now, jumping back to Quantic Foundry's model, here are indeed the 12 basic principles that form the clusters. So just to highlight with the cursor, I hope you can see it, action cluster means that if you like guns and explosives, chaos and mayhem, most likely you also like fast-paced games that have lots of thrills and surprises, and they together form action cluster. If you like social gameplay, most likely you like competition, duels, matches, and being high on ranking, and as well as community, so being on a team and chatting and interacting and so forth. Social cluster. Mastery is formed by high challenge, basically player skill type of games, and strategy, so making decision now and seeing the consequences in 2 hours, not instantly like in the excitement motivation. Achievement is formed by completion and power. Power and challenge are different. Challenge is about you, the player. Power is about your character in the game. So high power basically means leveling up, starting Luke Skywalker the farmer and ending up Luke Skywalker the Jedi Master. So leveling up heavily. Not that our skills go higher, but our character skills are going higher up. And completion basically means that the game gives you clear instructions. Do this, collect these, and so forth. Immersion is formed by fantasy and story. So fantasy, that you are someone else, somewhere else. This is the typical escapism motivation, which many players say that, yeah, playing games is escapism. And story, indeed, elaborate plots and interesting characters. And last but not least is creativity, where design means expressing my own individuality, that I made this city, I made my character look like this, and so forth. And discovery is both experimenting, crafting something, trying new mechanics. Hey, wow, I found out this way, as well as exploring the unknown, so exploring a map. Now, myself, this is me. As you can see from the percentages, mostly it follows exactly the duality, that if one is high, then the other one is high as well. For me personally, discovery and design are interestingly not matched, but all the others go quite hand in hand. So I care about characters being mine. I want to create my own empires and so forth, but discovery of the unknown for some reason doesn't seem to appeal to me. Now, there is a lot more to these player motivations, and what I strongly encourage you is to go to Quantic Foundry's blog and read it through. There is a lot of stuff. For example, making a career out of games, a key discovery that they share for free is that some motivations mature with age, or what's the opposite of mature, like drop down over age, and some are more gender sustainable. For example, the stereotypical first-person shooters with lots of explosions, well, teenage girls like that more than middle-aged men, because that's extremely age-dependent. Sure, teenage boys like shooter games the most, but teenage girls like it more than men over 50. There is also a big cultural differences. What type of motivations appeal to different cultures. To summarize this up, the more, what's yhteisöllinen in English, like the more communal cultures like China, they tend to like more similar type of motivations to one another, whereas in the West, there is a lot more individualism, so there is also a lot more archetypes and a lot more varied taste what type of games people play. Now, when I discovered this like some 10, or probably over 10 years ago, I thought that, well, this is all super interesting. What if there was a way to use this to figure out how to serve a specific audience even before we have game to make them test? And that's exactly what we're gonna look later on. Now, I don't want to be the guy who says that only be totally data driven, don't use inspiration at all. Inspiration often is rational arguments that you can't really put a word in it. So I'm perfectly fine that if you're making inspiration driven games, you can still use this method to analyze your game and figure out who is going to like your game, and if there is a fine tuning to be done that makes it serve that target audience even better. So how to basically do this is that you stop to ponder how well does your game serve each of these different motivations, and then reflect back to what Quantic Foundry openly shares in that blog about, and their GDC talks about their archetypes, and then make a nice spreadsheet, and bam, you figure out who is your target audience based on more than just your own gut feeling. And when you have those archetypes, you can get more information like this. What do they want? What is important to them? How much casual players there is, how much hardcore players, and so forth, what other type of games they like, and so forth. And all you need to do is use a bit of sweet spreadsheet. Now, the next step requires me to jump exactly to those spreadsheets. So bear with me. Here is a spreadsheet that I am going to share with you, so you can do this exercise on your own game. It has basically 4 steps. The data analysis is just to visualize whenever you have done your own exercise. Data input is where you input any data, and if you're interested, then there is just the data that Quantic Foundry shares, and then a bit of spreadsheet magic that calculates how do these numbers match whatever you are making in your own game. So the exercise, basically what to do is sit together with your team when you have a rough idea of how your game is, and start filling percentages for each of the motivations. add names most likely in the spreadsheet that you will be getting. It's mostly free, so make sure that everyone who is in your team gets to participate, and you add some numbers. And how do you know what is the right number, you say? Well, for that, Quantic Foundry has also provided good instructions that helps you analyze what percentage fits to your game. So, to quickly go through this also, so that you can do this on your own as well. Community, basically, it doesn't mean that 100% community is the only good way to serve that motivation. 0% is also a motivation. So that's same as with personality test. If you have 100% in something, or 0% in something, or 50% in something, that doesn't make anyone a better person or worse person. It's not attached any value what is good and what is bad. High community means that your game has teamwork in it. It means that there is social interaction, collaboration, chatting, grouping up, and so forth. And 0 means that it's fully independent, single player, solo quests, no other players whatsoever. And oftentimes with many of the games, we are somewhere in the middle. 0 means not even high score that you can share with others, but already if there is something shareable with others, even if it's a single player game, it could be 20% serving community as a kind of community motivation. Competition means that there is a high conflict. There is arenas, duels, rankings, and leaderboards, and non-adversarial is at the other end, so there is no competitive methods. If we talk about such a game, we're not going to talk, what did I play that game better? Like Walking Dead, probably non-adversarial. We don't compare. There is no social comparison. Like I was better player and you were worse player, or vice versa. Same is with excitement. I'm very heavy personally on playing calm, turn-based, relaxed, predictable games that doesn't have much of jump scare things, or that effects are immediate. I play type of games where I make a decision now and I see the consequences in 2 hours. The opposite of that is thrilling games that are fast-paced, surprising, action-based, and the effects are immediate. When I press a button, I see its consequences immediately. That's the opposite of calm. Destruction, same, chaotic, explosion, mayhem, and opposite of it is more enduring, serene, evergreen. There is no weapons or maybe not even violence, and so forth. Once again, serving different motivations. Completion means source of goals. Is it the task-oriented? That game tells you, hey, here is a side quest. Do this, go there. There is a marker on the map. Or is it self-driven? That, okay, I make a city how I want it to make. I create Kingdom of Finland because I feel like creating a Kingdom of Finland. The game doesn't tell me to. I could have created the Kingdom of India or whatever. So source of goals, is it from me or is it from the game? As I said, when I run this exercise even to companies, power and challenge is usually where people get lost. And that's usually where I need to be reminding people. So I emphasize once again, power is about the character, not about you as a player. So low power means Super Mario. Sure, there is tiny bit of progression. It can grow big or it can stay small, but not much progression. Progression-based or high power means that you go from level 1 to level 80 and constantly get new skills, and that character does more damage than at the beginning. So character grows. Challenge is how you grow as a player, that the difficulty level basically increases. Do you like easy fun, which is quick to learn, low or no skill barriers, Or do you want very complex difficulty missions, Iron Man modes, and so forth? So challenge is about you, the player. Strategy, I think, is quite easy. Is it a spontaneous, reactive gameplay that doesn't require any long-term thinking? And high strategy basically means that you're already thinking 2 hours ahead. Exactly the type of games that I play is high strategy. Fantasy means deep lore, rich history, everything is figured out. You are immersed in alternative reality. And the low fantasy means that the world is generic or abstract. Tetris, a perfect example of low or probably zero fantasy game. Story means that is there a plot? There can be narrative without a plot. So low story means it's open-ended. There isn't overarching narrative, basic NPCs and blank canvas to build on. And high means scripted drama, elaborate narrative arcs, and so forth. And discovery, low means that the rule sets are exposed. You instantly know how to play the game. Nothing hidden. No, probably also low randomness, though it doesn't instantly say that. And high discovery means that you're exploring the world, you're exploring the game mechanics, you're tinkering with elements and not knowing where to go. And design is about expressing individuality. So is it curated, fixed, or highly stylized avatar, for example, or can you make it your own? Like Geralt of Rivia isn't that, it's quite curated. Sure, tiny bit of tweaking you can do, but is it Geralt of Rivia or your own character that you're basically projecting yourself into? So, as a design exercise, keep these at hand when you're pondering about your game, and then start filling percentages here. This is an actual exercise of my own team that we did for our first game. And the important other element is then talking through your results. And it's particularly important that it's not just whoever is dedicated as a designer to do this, because even designers, we all are different people, and some feature might be irrelevant for one person, or consequences of that doesn't feel like much. But when you have a group of people, you get more objective outcome. And when you fill those numbers in, then this provides a tool also to explain why did Petri put community only to 20 and why is Aki at 50 at our game? And then there is a fruitful discussion, and we can still change the opinions if we feel like it, that okay, I didn't understand that we had been going towards that, or it can reflect that we perceive things differently. Same with other elements. If it's all unified, then it's clear that there is no gray areas. There is no need to be worried, are we going to go towards specific goal? But always when there is a high changes, like here is for strategy, Yuri has put only 50 and Pekka has put 80. So those, it's good to get the reasonings. Why did you put 50? Why did you put 80? And so forth. And what you will basically get is distance to these different archetypes. The spreadsheet does it here, but you don't need to go there if you don't want. You will see it here. And this basically visualizes then the outcome. So for our game, bards, architects, and bounty hunters are the top 3 matching archetypes. And here we can visualize the elements. We can change it. Let's look at the architect as well. And then, okay, we don't serve discovery. or we serve discovery a lot more than what architect is wanting. Should we change that? And then we can make more enlightened decisions what type of games we are making, if we are then for sure knowing that we're going to serve bard and architects. Then where is the middle ground? How do we serve both audiences? How do we make design decisions that they like? Even if we would be bards and architects, then we are externalizing ourselves as that, hey, we are this type of player, so should we then serve more of these? On the boot camp, someone asked, is it something along this line that is it fine to be making games for yourself because you're passionate about it, you're expert on it? This is what I was referring to, that you should try to see yourself as an archetype instead of that, okay, just because I feel like something. Then now, if you are some archetype, then you have arguments that, well, if we make this decision, it will appeal to more than just 5 people in the world. It will appeal to 500,000 players or whatnot. Now, the last bit for this would be then, of course, to start then analyzing the changes in your design. For example, for our game, we made the discovery, like then this type of analysis that, okay, these are old numbers, we have made some changes, but this is the initial outcome that we did. Showcasing that, okay, bards don't really like power, they don't have the power fantasy, no need to level up, and we intend to be leveling up quite a bit, but it was a perfect match for architect and bounty hunter. Did we do any changes? No, we didn't. But we bear in mind that let's not make it any higher leveling up elements. Then community was kind of okay, whatever. But then we realized that initially story was a lot less than what we had hoped. So we added more story missions into the design. Also, the end game crisis plays a bigger role, and there is a larger story arc in our game. Same is with the discovery. The red means that all of these archetypes want that more, so we added quite a bit of discovery elements into our designs as well. And last but not least is the completionist gameplay style, the roguelike elements that we in our game we aim for hard fun, so rewarding even on failure, that now you unlock new stuff and it can be measured. How many elements have you unlocked? How many different play styles have you unlocked? That was a clear feature that we decided to do, not exploding any scope. If there is items in the game, there is based templates in the game, there is winning conditions in the game, well, we make them collectibles, we make them unlocked via trial and error, that you get your characters get killed, then next time you start you're in a better position. So that came directly from this analysis. So basically what this means is that when you have figured out your player archetype, you go back to your design, look at your own designs, and then compare it. That could we change some elements? That what is quite far from the actual archetype? Like for us, the discovery was off for all. It wasn't off for all possible archetypes, but our best fitting archetypes it was. So maybe we need to improve on discovery motivation. How do we serve that? And of course, one of the key elements is that you choose which archetypes do you serve as your target audience. Then you can use it as a guiding light on which decision design-wise, level design-wise, feature-wise is a correct one, because then it will serve this audience better. So you look closer into the motivations and try to find mismatches in how your archetypes like specific motivations compared to how you guys are perceiving your own game. Hopefully, this will also help you establish your design pillars. Or if you have already established design pillars, then you can reflect back that, hey, our design pillars, are they really made for serving this target audience or not? So do we need to change the design pillars? Sure, we will discuss design pillars in a couple of weeks, if I remember right. And then, indeed, things like specific feature, is things unlockables, pacing, how high is the excitement level? Should we slow down the pacing that there is more silent moments, or should we increase it so that it serves Gladiator, for example, better, or whichever would be your archetype? So once again, this exercise doesn't really explode any scope. It helps you make smart decisions so that you actually serve someone. I so much would always prefer on more interactive lectures. But yeah, I'm running towards the end, so be prepared to ask any questions. To sum things up, now that you have just started your process of developing the game, sure, some have prototypes already and so forth, what you should do is analyze your game concept early. You don't need to wait until you have a playable. You can do the analysis already based on actual game design. Then you compare your own analysis to the Quantic Foundry's data, and you find best match for profiles or archetypes that are more likely to like your game. And then try to learn more about them. What I didn't highlight is that you will also find out how often those archetype play games. You can extrapolate that hey, are they playing the AAA games? Will they afford to buy new games, or do you need to be wary of whatever big game is about to come out? So lots of other elements that you can find out about the player profiles as well. Not immediately, but extrapolating the assumptions there. So often by gut feeling, we can establish relatively good target audience. For example, if someone would be making a game for single parents who are between 30 and 40 years old, well, that's already better target audience in the sense that it's not super wide. It's single parents, tells about some time issues that they might have. Age isn't from 18 onward, so it's more limited. However, what is the problem with, even though this would be better in kind of guiding light in terms of theme, for example, what kind of game are you making? But even if you were making a game for single parents, what if the context of the game might fit? Troubles of single parenthood or whatever. But then the game serves motivations that they don't really care. So once again, not all single parents who are between 30 and 40 years old are like-minded. So then you can figure out that out of those, we're going to serve these. So to sum things up, you should really design games that your player care. And care is inversely distributed by the normal distribution. So vast majority of players are in the middle. They want something familiar, but on some elements you should find things that your players really, really care, because then they will be drumming your drum and helping you spread the word. So that's it. I thought it would have been longer session, so it seems that we don't need the 1.5 hours, but just one. So any questions, comments, feedback? Do you need help running this exercise with last year's session? Last year's teams, that was one of the topics with a lot of the teams that I helped run the exercise through, but hopefully you could also learn how to do it yourself.